Hi, thank you for joining me. In this video, we're going to go over using scales and ounce equivalents. Why should you use a scale? Well, there are many reasons that using a scale is very useful. First, we have precision and consistency. Scales provide precise measurements by weight, which is crucial for baking where ingredient ratios significantly impact the final product. We have consistency, where weighing ingredients ensures that you use the exact amounts specified in a recipe, leading to consistent results every time you cook or bake. Versatility across recipes. Kitchen scales can easily switch between units, grams, or ounces, making it simple to follow recipes from different regions that use different measurement systems. Portion control and weight management. For diets or calorie tracking, a kitchen scale can help you accurately measure portion sizes and control nutrient intake, supporting weight loss or maintenance goals. In the aspect of child nutrition, this could be very important if you have a diabetic student and need to work with your nurse on portion sizes. Less mess and easier cleanup. You can zero out the scale to add multiple ingredients to the same bowl. This eliminates the need for multiple measuring cups and spoons and simplifies the cooking process. Professional accuracy. In professional kitchens, weighing ingredients is the standard practice for achieving accuracy and consistency in every dish. Specifically in child nutrition, you can also use the scales to double check that your serving sizes meet the crediting requirements for the meal pattern. So there are many different types of scales, but the three main types of kitchen scales are digital scales, which use electronic sensors for precise measurements on a screen, mechanical scales, which rely on a spring mechanism for a dial display, and counterbalance scales, also known as just balance scales, which are used for weighing ingredients like dough and are common in commercial settings. Here is an illustration of the three types of scales. On the left, we have the mechanical, also known as a plunger scale. In the middle, we have a digital scale. And in the top right, we have a balance scale. So to use a balance scale, before you begin, you want to make sure the scale is on a flat surface and balanced. You'll place the container you are measuring into on the left side and a counterbalance to the right. You'll add the weight that you need to measure to the right side and use the weight bar to get to the precise smaller amounts. You'll add your ingredient to the left side until the scale balances again. This type of scale is more accurate than a mechanical scale and is usually found in bakeries. A mechanical or plunger scale. Before using this scale, you'll also want to make sure it is on a flat surface. You'll place the container you are measuring into on the scale and turn the dial so that it is at 0. Sometimes this will be on the front, sometimes this will be underneath the plate itself. And then you'll add your ingredient to the container until you reach your desired weight. Here we have a digital scale. Before you begin, again, you would like to make sure that this is on a flat surface. You will place the container that you are measuring into on the scale and tear or zero out the scale. You add your ingredient to the container until you reach your desired weight. If measuring multiple ingredients, you can zero or tear out in between to continue to add to your container. The digital scale is very common in kitchens. These offer the ability to switch between ounces and grams, and there's no concern of the spring wearing out over time like mechanical scales. Now let's head into the kitchen so we can see how we can use these tools to simplify your work.
Welcome to the kitchen. Now we're going to go over how to use your scales and how they can make your day-to-day tasks easier. In front of me, I have two different digital scales. We have one that runs off strictly battery and one that runs off a standard power source. This one would be a little bit more reliable because you don't have to worry about the batteries going dead. However, this one only has a 2-pound capacity, while this one has an 11-pound capacity. So first, let's take a look at turkey. If you have a deli bar in your school, or if you're building sandwiches, in the kitchen, one thing you want to make sure is that you're putting enough turkey on to get to that minimum ounce equivalence requirement that you need. So one thing you can do is weigh out how many slices you need to meet your minimum, and then you write it right onto your recipe that each sandwich or each portion on your deli bar gets this amount of slices. So the first thing we're going to want to do is turn on our scale. We make sure the scale is on a nice flat surface. In this particular case, I'm not weighing into a container. The great thing about these scales is the tops are actually removable, so they can be washed. But we make sure the scale is at 0. And for turkey, you need 1.6 ounces to hit a 1 ounce equivalent. So here we're going to go slice by slice. 0.3. So we're at 4 slices, which gives 1.4 ounce. So you need about 5 slices, this is pretty thin sliced turkey, to get to 1.8 ounces, so it gives you just over that 1 ounce equivalent. So in the case of a turkey sandwich, that's quite a bit of turkey. However, you can use cheese to make up the other ounce if you need to reach that 2 ounce equivalent minimum. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put that back. Another thing that you might do is serving cheese on your salad bar. This case, it might be pre-portioned so that you know when the student grabs that cheese, they have enough. A lot of times we see the cheese in these cups. This one's a 4 ounce. I've seen it in 2 ounce equivalents as well. But this is a 4 ounce by volume. And we want to make sure we have 2 ounces for that 2 ounce equivalent. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on the scale. And you see it's not reading 0 anymore. So here we're going to hit the button that says tare. On your scale, it might say 0. And we're reset back to 0 now. So I'm going to go ahead and take some of my cheese, scoop it right in here. Try not to make too big of a mess. So you can see here that this is a 4 ounce by volume cup, but you need to pack the cheese in pretty tightly to hit a 2 ounce equivalent by weight. So just because the cup that you're using says 2 ounces does not mean that you'd actually be providing them 2 ounces of cheese. Clean up my mess here. So if you like to do a lot of scratch cooking in your kitchen, another thing you might opt to serve, and I'm going to go ahead and go over to this scale so that I don't have to take a break and wash that one. You might serve pancakes for breakfast. If you're not getting the USDA ones that already tell you how to credit, you'd want to make sure that the pancakes that you're serving meets the serving size required. According to the Exhibit A grains chart, pancakes are 1.2 ounces to get a 1 ounce equivalent. So here I got my scale, it's at 0. I'm going to take 1 pancake. And this pancake weighs 1.22 ounces, so it would give you a 1 ounce equivalent. So if you needed to hit 2, if you're using the same size scoop when you make them, you would need 2 pancakes. So we're just a little bit shy. I must not have cleaned that scoop out very well when making them, but approximately 2 pancakes will give you a 2 ounce equivalent. So another reason why using scales is so important in kitchens is because if you have a recipe that calls for flour, and you have 2 different people making this recipe, they might not measure the flour the same way. And we're going to demonstrate that right now. So the proper way to measure flour, I'm going to go ahead and zero this out because I've put a container on here. The proper way is that you take a scoop, you scoop out the flour, put it into the cup, and then you level it off. Okay? That way you don't have packed down flour. This isn't brown sugar. And we're going to see how much this 1 cup of flour weighs. So 1 cup of properly weighed flour is 4.32 ounces. Now, a lot of times you will see people weigh flour a little bit differently than that. And I'll admit, I've done this in my own home when cooking and I'm in a hurry and I don't want to find a scoop. You'll take that measuring cup and you'll kind of just do like a little shake, shake, shake. hoping that that fluffs it up. And just that little bit of difference, I now have 4.86 ounces of flour. So if you had a large scale recipe, you would end up increasing your flour exponentially, and that would not yield the same results every time that you do that recipe. So as we went over in the beginning of this video, there are different types of scales. I have digital ones here in my kitchen. If you've ever worked in a commercial bakery, a very reliable scale to use is a balance scale. You have your counterbalance, you have your weights for what you're weighing. They are bulky, they are heavy, so if you don't have a lot of storage space in your kitchen, a digital scale will definitely be the way to go. Mechanical scales are also very useful, very quick and easy to use. However, if they're not carried properly by the base, the spring on that can wear out, which would make them inaccurate. So I hope that this helps, and I hope that everybody goes and makes sure that they have a scale in their kitchen. That way they can ensure that they are serving the correct serving size, that their recipes are followed consistently every time. And if we come in to see you for a review and you have a scale, we might just weigh your pancake or your muffin to make sure you're hitting that minimum. Thank you for joining me today.